again, women's brains are wired differently, and I think the way women structure their thoughts, their actions, and even their emotions, they're all different to the way a man is wired. So I think it's difficult for both genders to associate, to try and understand, really understand what the other gender is feeling.
Do you want to know why women so often put men down? Why they tease them? Why they belittle them and insult them? Are you curious to know what the source of all of this female cruelty is? It's because women are dependent upon men. That dependency breeds resentment. And this is something that it's very difficult for men to understand. The reason is because as a gender, men are very self-sufficient. We're very independent. If we see a problem, we just get on with it. We go and fix that problem. Men are very proactive. We create our own lives. We actively satisfy our own desires. Before you begin taking too much credit for it, understand that that's not really up to you. This is just how evolution has created men to be confident, independent, masculine, self-sufficient. So because men are so independent when it comes to meeting their own survival needs, when it comes to romantic relationships, we don't seek out women primarily for physical means, more for matters of the soul. We want women for companionship, for love, for pleasure and enjoyment. Now, most of us grew up with this cultural myth that when it comes to love and relationships, women are these hopeless romantics. It's nonsense. Men are the romantics. Just ask yourself, how many great love songs are there by women written about men? Yeah, there's a couple, but not many. Compare that amount with the number of fantastic love songs written by men about women. It is amazing that this cultural myth persists. Men are obviously the more romantic ones. You might say, but Alex, women are the ones who read romance novels. Isn't that proof that women are romantics? Not really, because if you actually look at the themes that are explored in those romance novels, they're not about all the things that a woman does to attain the man, all the things that she has to sacrifice for the man that she loves. Those books contain stories of women being rescued, of women being the recipients of romantic love and romantic gestures. It's the men in those books who are doing all of the heroic deeds, all of the sacrifice for the sake of the woman. And if you hear a man express his love to a woman, you'll often hear it in that sacrificial language like, I would do anything for you. I would give up everything for you. I'd swim an ocean to get to you. I'd die for you. Whatever it is. This is the truth of gender dynamics. Men bring the romance. Women receive the romance. I apologize if I'm currently shattering your beliefs about female nature, but you've got to understand this. Women are not the romantic ones. When it comes to love and relationships, women are primarily practical. Now, me saying that women are not terribly romantic, that's not meant as a judgment. If you think that this whole thing is about judging women, you've completely missed the point. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just explaining this is the way that evolution has made women. You see, women have always had the primary responsibility for raising the children. The children's survival needs needed to be at the forefront of her consciousness, and so obviously, she has to be very practical in her outlook. She's busy breastfeeding. She's busy raising small infants. She can't be out hunting animals, building shelters, anything like that. She's got responsibilities when it comes to child rearing. Now, because the woman is busy breastfeeding and raising small infants, all of that stuff, she's not able to go out and hunt deer or build shelters. And that's why she is dependent upon a man for her survival. Perhaps deep down, she would love to get lost in pure expressions of love, pure romanticism. But somebody has to be taking care of the children. Somebody has to keep survival at the forefront of their consciousness. Being so vulnerable and having instincts that are so finely attuned to survival, love and relationships have to, at least on some level, be a matter of practicality for women. If a woman's husband dies, of course she's going to feel sad, of course she's going to grieve, but she also has to consider the practicalities of the situation. She has to think about her children. Now that the husband is no longer around to provide, what is to become of them? While the idea of a wailing widow, a woman who just spends the rest of her life mourning her dead husband, sounds terribly romantic, evolution is not interested in romanticisms. Evolution is interested in survival and practical matters. This is why evolution gave women the instincts to be able to move past their grief and secure a new partner. She's sad for a time, but before long she has to move on and find a new partner, somebody who is capable of providing for her and her children. Here is the biological truth. Women cannot survive on their own. They were not designed to do so. I'm not putting down women. This is just how evolution works. When figuring out what instincts to prioritize in women, evolution decided that they needed to max out on nurturing and child-raising capacity because the survival matters weren't important for women to figure out because men were around. Men were taking care of that. When things are going well in a tribe and all of the men and women are partnered up and happy, things work really well like this. It's very, very efficient because each gender plays to their strength and they cooperate to make sure that everybody's needs are met. So while men and women are working together, things are going fine for the tribe, but there is a hidden cost to all of this efficiency, and that's that women feel vulnerable and they feel dependent upon the men. If you take a man and you strand him on an island and he has to hunt his own food and build his own shelter and all of that stuff, he'll probably be okay. But if you take a mother and give her a couple of screaming infants and put her on that same island to survive by herself, she's got no chance. She was not designed to survive. That's not what evolution created women to do. Evolution gave women the instincts to find strong and powerful men who could help them survive. And this is the reason why women are so often putting men down. It's because of that insecurity, that vulnerability, that dependency that they feel. Love and matters of the heart is not just some fun, romantic fantasy for women. It actually has real-world significance. Their relationship brings up concerns about survival. Now, think about how big of a deal it is that of all of the men in the world, she chose you to be her partner. That is massive. She chose you because she believed in your masculinity. She believed that you were the man who is best suited to provide and protect her. She has invested the best years of her life in you. She has used her youth to secure you as a partner. So what happens if she senses that she has made a bad investment? If all that she'd sacrificed for you and the relationship was for nothing? That is going to trigger very real survival fears. That is going to bring forth all of these deeply rooted evolutionary instincts. If she invested in you and she feels like you're not living up to what her expectations are, she will be furious. This anger is very, very real for women. It's difficult for men to understand because there's not really a comparable emotion, at least as it relates to survival fears for men. But for women, all women, they'll know this feeling. She's angry at herself for making a bad choice while simultaneously being angry at you for not living up to the person that she wanted you to be. This is why she nags. This is why she complains. This is why she belittles. This is her way of punishing you for not being the man that she wanted you to be. Now, I'm not excusing this behavior. It's childish, it's immature, and it's a sign that she's a low-quality woman. High-quality women speak honestly and openly about their concerns. They don't resort to little passive-aggressive jabs. Plus, this whole thing might be her fault. Maybe she had unrealistic expectations, or maybe it was the result of her actions that have worn you down to this point where you're no longer living up to your masculine ideals. Or it could be completely your fault. Maybe she's fine, she's perfect, but you're being lazy and selfish and not living up to your own masculinity. In all likelihood, it's probably a bit of fault on both sides, but regardless, this is why women put men down. Regardless of whose fault this is the mechanism that has been activated. Women are dependent upon men. That dependency breeds insecurity and anxiety as it relates to survival. All of those insults, all of those little nasty comments are all her way of trying to provoke you back into your masculine. So is this inevitable? Is this what we have to look forward to in a relationship? Women making nasty, passive-aggressive little comments always bringing you down? No. All of this negative behavior from her stems from certain fears, and if you alleviate those fears, the negative behavior will dry up. I have never made the claim that there are lots of high-quality women in the world. There aren't. They are a rare resource. What's more, even if you get into a relationship with a high-quality woman, as a man, you're constantly going to have to be at the top of your game, making sure that you're on top of your own masculinity so that her survival fears don't get triggered. But do not settle for a simplistic explanation. If she's unhappy, there's a reason. Perhaps all you can see is anger or sadness, but I'm telling you, deep down inside her, motivating all of this behavior is a fear. Find out what that fear is and run a thorough diagnosis and figure out what you need to change this. Perhaps it's her expectations that need to be adjusted, or perhaps it's some of your behavior. Perhaps it's both. But life is too short to spend in a relationship with a woman who's always bringing you down, who's always insulting you. The key to a happy and successful relationship is to find a high quality woman and to be the best possible version of yourself. Can man deny his own nature and still be happy? That's the topic of my latest video. A lot of men battle with competing desires they feel inside themselves, because on the one hand, they're desperate to be in a relationship with a woman, but on the other hand, they're terrified of all of the associated dangers that come with modern relationships. In this video, I answer the question, is it possible to ignore your instincts which crave companionship and still be happy? I share the facts as they relate to biology and talk about the true source of satisfaction and happiness. I also explain the core reasons for why men are facing this dilemma and the best way out. For every video that I post here on YouTube, I also post an additional bonus video on my Patreon. That means that right now you're only seeing half of my total content. If you want to see the other half, please sign up on my Patreon. It's only $5 a month. It's a fantastic way to support the channel, and I really appreciate your support.